Welcome to District 216, Santa Barbara's private, members-only, exclusive social club. Enjoy our 4 pillars of content: art, music, cannabis, and psychedelics. District 216, Santa Barbara's private, members-only, exclusive social club.
Thank you for being here for another Marquee event here at District 216. My name is Chris Williams. I'm going to be emceeing tonight. You may remember me from last time. You may not. Some of y'all had a lot of samples, I understand. So that's good. If you remember me from last time I wore a sport coat. I was scared about being arrested here. This time I feel more at home. I'm wearing a shirt. Please don't rub up on this shirt. I know there's texture. Don't do that. I'm going to return it tomorrow. Okay? No, I'm very happy to be here once again. This is really cool. Make some noise for yourselves for doing it. You guys are so Santa Barbara cool. Woo. Woo. I like that. I like that. I actually don't like that. You gave me bad energy. I'm not gonna lie to you. Thank you, ma'am in the front row. Or third row, wherever you are. We need to all be more like her. How you guys doing up in the smoking lounge? Y'all good? You see how disrespectful this night is already? I'm on a microphone. They don't even hear me. I got my hair cut for this and everything. I was feeling good. I'm not gonna lie to you. The last time I was here, I didn't know much about like mushrooms or anything like that. I learned so much, the education, and I appreciate it. And I have been microdosing a lot, okay? And it has been wonderful. Have you ever learned something about yourself while you're on a substance? Yeah, you've never? Sir, you look like you've learned a lot about yourself off a substance, and that's why you got on one. So I'm just letting you know. I learned I don't like my long hair. You ever look in the mirror and just like, no, that's ugly. You've been doing that for 25 years. Don't do that. That happened to me. Ego death. I was sober. But I got a haircut, I'm feeling sexy. You know what I'm talking about? Women, you ever get a haircut and feel so good you just go buy some shit? Yeah? If you have, thank you. I love my haircut, man. I cheated on my barber. Oh, she said, uh-oh. I did, I found a new barber. I didn't care, I just did it. Life was good. Santa Barbara, you don't have many people who cut black hair. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think you knew that already. If you didn't, that's a problem. But I had a great time, man. Walked into a new barber shop, got a good haircut, and I feel so good. You ever got a haircut so good you check see if you have abs? I did, I was like, well damn, if I look this good. No? All right. I was in my Calvin Kleins in the mirror, like, There were no abs, but I thought it's because I had Mexican the night before, so I was like, maybe later, you know what I'm saying? It's good, man. It's good. You guys are finally paying attention, that's nice. That makes me feel better about myself. It does. So how are you doing? Did you come with anybody? Yeah, okay, just checking. You were just off in the side, you look shifty, I'm gonna watch you the whole night, okay? Yeah. I'm really excited to be here. I've never performed between two giant mouths before. This is what halitosis looks like in the beginning. This is so weird. I love it here. It looks like you could play with. Why is there okay, we're not gonna talk about that. This is cool, man. This is so cool. What have you guys been up to, Santa Barbara? You've been okay? Yeah. Sir, what is happening? Can we? You have a pot of what? Stew? What are you? It's. Okay. Okay. This is gonna be a strange night. Y'all ready for this? Where did you heat that? Like, where you brought the KitchenAid pan to? Like, what? Okay. All right. Just when you think you've seen it all, the man just has an Instapot under his chair at an event. Not plugged in anything. You have a battery pack? What's happening, sir? Oh, and And you didn't have time to take it out of the crock pot? You were like, no, just bring the whole crock pot. All right. We might have to give this man some money later. I'm confused. We're gonna get you some Tupperware. Okay. I love Santa Barbara, man. I love living here. I've been here for 3 years now. And you guys are so weird to me. I haven't figured it out. The other day I was doing 85 on the freeway. This woman pulled up next to me, gave me the finger. I was like, what? She's like, you're driving way too slow. It's like, I'm doing 85. Like, what do you want me to do? I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like it. I watched a man parallel park in a space that you didn't need to parallel park in. Like, it was so big. And he parallel parked, and then I watched, this is a true story, I watched him count how many feet away the car was. And he was in a Tesla, so then he used a remote control to back it up 2 feet, and that was like a safe space for him. And I've just never seen anything like, because as a black person, white people, what the fuck? What are you doing? You ever stop and just ask, you know what you should do? You should just, everybody, we're gonna take some mushrooms and just look at yourself and go, what am I doing? Because whatever it is, that's what I want to do in my life. I want to be so happy that I could count the steps of the car in front of me, my Tesla, and then be like, you know what? No, I don't want it. I want to back it up. That's what I want, man. I love y'all. How are you doing, ma'am? I love that. Thank you. I like your dress. What's up? You don't have a crock pot. I know. Jacob, next time, everybody gets a crock pot. You get a crock pot. You get a crock pot. No, man. I love this space, man. Have you guys walked through already? And that just seemed normal to you? Nobody said anything? Everybody walked through, looked at the art, and was like, oh, that's cool. The first time I came in, I just met with Jacob, and I was just like sitting, he was just sitting there like it was normal. And I was like, yeah, is it normal? Who said that? Yes, amen to that, right? But it's not normal to have that kind of wall, that art on the wall. Or at least not to me. Because I, like in that, but this is art. This is beautiful art. Yeah, ma'am, you... Wait, hold on. Somebody get here some lentils. No, I'm with you. I'm correct. But this is a beautiful space, is it not? Can we make noise for the space? Yes. Yes, man. This is going to be a strange crowd. I really like that. Right? I think it's great, man. I love it. Like, I moved up here to go back to school, and it's been amazing. Like I said, it's been amazing. I've enjoyed all of it. It makes me feel sexy in Santa Barbara. And, oh my God, everybody's wearing shoes? Holy shit. You don't understand. That's like, for me, that's like black bingo. Like when everybody wears shoes in an audience, because I don't know why. You guys bring crock pots places, and you just don't wear your shoes. Like in LA, you can't get a Happy Meal without shoes. Here, you can walk into the Montecito Bank and Trust and leave with a mortgage without shoes. I'd never seen that before, but that's normal. It's an incredible thing, man. I love it. Well, my name is Chris Williams, and I'm gonna just keep razzing you guys because why not, right? Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Why not? Because I have the microphone. No, I'm not just gonna do that. I'm gonna be moderating this, keeping things moving. I'm really excited. We have a great presentation for you. So if you want to stand in the back, you can, or there are plenty of seats. You can do that too, whatever you choose. I don't want to, get on your nerves. You have another spoon for some lentils, sir? I'll grab a spoon. I'll meet you right there, okay? But before we get going, I'm excited to bring the man to the stage who helped put all this on. Who's his dream. He's the chief dreamer. The chief dreamer of District 216. Please make some noise for Jacob Tell, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. Does everyone want Chris to come back a third time?
Hell yeah!
You're hired.
Yes!
Thanks for being here, everyone. I appreciate it. This is our third Marquee event of 2023. And we have had a successful turnout in the community of Santa Barbara all 3 times, which it is really hard to get Santa Barbara people to go anywhere. And RSVP, it's like getting people to confirm to go to a reggae show, I swear. So the fact that people are here is awesome. Thanks for being here and showing up. And also thanks to our sponsors. We have a bunch of awesome activations throughout the building, upstairs, downstairs, so make your way through if you haven't. Briefly, I know it's kind of still bright out, so it's hard to see the screen, so I'm gonna just tell you a little bit of a background of this last couple of months since I've seen you here. For those of you who aren't members yet, we've actually had 12 events from March 25th when we were here at our last Marquee event till now. And most of those events have been inside, smaller, 20 to 30 people with lectures and interviews and workshops. And we brought some folks out from around the country. You know, some amazing people that we want to share stories and hear stories. So one of the calls to action that I have, we have a booth over here at District216. If you know people that should be here to speak and share, please let us know. We're putting together a curriculum of just some outstanding people that are from psychotherapy backgrounds, people that are from the plant medicine backgrounds, others that are psychonauts, some that are entrepreneurs, and trying to bring together this community with a bunch of little Venn diagrams overlapping. So hopefully that resonates with you, and that's why you're here. And real quick, I'm just going to run through two things. We have an initiative. For those of you that were here at last event, we launched this initiative with our friends in Oakland called Decriminalize Nature. And Decriminalize Nature have been going city by city to decriminalize entheogenic plants and fungi. And they've done this 16 times, and we believe that Santa Barbara should be the 17th. So, call to action number 2 is we have a petition at the booth. If you haven't signed it, last time we had about 225 people show up here, and we got about 110 signatures. So we did like 50% of the crowd, which is awesome. So let's do that again. Let's get another 100 signatures. And we have our, what was it? Pass it around. We can pass it around. Christian, let's pass it around. I like that. You don't have to get up. You just sit in your seats. It's great. Perfect. Teamwork. What I was going to say about that is we actually do have our next step beyond the petition on the books. So we have on, I think it's the 8th of June, we're going to be meeting with one of the city council people here in Santa Barbara who's claiming to be receptive to this. What we need to do is convince at least one, if not more than one council member to be our champion and to take this batch of signatures and stories that we're collecting and bring it to an agenda for city council so that we can present this initiative and become the 17th city to decriminalize entheogenic plants and fungi. All right. I can't say. I could tell you after. Yeah. It's a he. I'll give you a hint. So big shout out. I don't think anyone can see anything, so I'm going to ignore the slides. But big shout out to Larry Norris at Decriminalize Nature for helping us through, and also to the UC Santa Barbara Psychedelic Club, which I know if that was there in the 90s when I was there, I would have definitely been on the board, but very cool organization. They are also helping with this initiative gather signatures and push it forward. So shout out to both of those entities. It takes a village. The advocacy is definitely one piece. You know, we've got about 50 years of plus of Nixon's war on drugs to undo, and we're slowly but surely getting, you know, some research going again and some policies getting rewritten. You'll hear a little bit about that on stage tonight. But the other piece here at District216 is education. And so I'm really excited about the panel that we put together. I've gotten to personally see these amazing, you know, world-class panelists, I don't know, contributors at the Psychedelic Remind Business Forum in Vegas last year. And I said, I gotta get them to Santa Barbara somehow, some way. We had just kind of softly launched this idea for District216, and I'm very grateful to have them agree to be here tonight, especially Troy and Ariel, who've traveled from across the country to be here. We also have Luca and Christian, who have traveled a little less far, but I'm appreciative for all of them. So you'll get to see that soon. And then the last thing I want to say is, you know, we've had these 12 events. Just to tell you a little bit about them, we had a woman come and share her photography about transformational healing in women's liberation. We had a gentleman come and share about the potential for psilocin as a substitute for Adderall. We had the UCSB Psychedelics Club come and talk about the cultural influences on psychedelic uses across generations. And we had a lively conversation from Gen Z to baby boomer, which is, I think, a very important bridge in this conversation to get our elders and our up and coming generations talking. We had a woman talk about the challenges and opportunities as an entrepreneur in cannabis and hemp. We had a somatic healer, embodiment, and yoga practitioner here. She spoke and then later led a group here in the parking lot with yoga, which was really cool. We had a gentleman lead a breathwork, OFX breathwork class here as well. We had a psychotherapist talk about psychedelic supportive therapies, mining medicine experiences for healing and self-healing. Shout out to Dr. Elizabeth Wolfson, who's in the house. And then Larry from our friends at Decriminalized Nature. He came down and talked as well. I'm gonna leave you with just an anecdote. Last Wednesday, very powerful story. We had a guy named Chad McLean come, and he started a brand, an apparel brand called Mental Joe. And he's a veteran. He's suffered from PTSD for probably 20 plus years. He was on the brink of suicide, had a gun to his head, and his wife called the authorities, and luckily for them, they were able to find ketamine, MDMA, and psilocybin therapies. And for the last 3 years have been going through that journey, and he shared his story here. So these are the kinds of things that we want to be a container for and allow conversations to be here. I know that there's a lot of skepticism in the community about what is this place of people just trying to get high, and people are going to get high whether we exist or not. So I think we should be here for putting some bumpers on the lane and give some education and some advocacy to things. So we're all here under the 4 pillars of District 216, art, music, cannabis, and psychedelics. So without further ado, I'm gonna bring Chris right back up for a second, and then our panel will be just after. Thank you guys for being here.
Make some noise for Jacob, everybody. You can do better than that. Come on now. Come on now. And they gave you the 4 pillars and all of that, and that's it. He had 4 pillars, and you clap like that. 4 pillars. Even the man with the lentils put his lentils down and clapped, and that's what you get. No, this really is a really unique space, and I really hope that you all cherish this space for what it's worth. And also, don't do anything crazy, because once again, we do not want a Netflix documentary on us, okay? This place, can you imagine? With these mouths up here, oh, it's gonna be a 6-part series, okay? So let's knock it out of hand, everybody be good. We don't need that blemish on our record. You look like you're gonna get out of hand, man. Yeah. Were you the one who said bring the petition over here? Yeah, she didn't want to move from the heater. I know how you're doing. Prime real estate. She got here early, camped out. You doing good, sir? I love it, man. Thank you. That's a great shirt. You're very welcome. You guys are just happy but quiet. Happy but quiet. This is what Hope Ranch feels like. This is what Hope Ranch. I lived in Isla Vista at the age of 35. Yeah, so I wanted happy and quiet. Yeah, I couldn't get it. That's a crazy place. How do you guys let that happen? You know how rich Santa Barbara is? Y'all put the slum next to the water. That's crazy to me. You're like, we don't even need that water. It's like, you gonna allow that? And then all the white kids are like, this is amazing. I'm like, this is the slum, welcome in. I was like, crazy shit there. I watched 3 kids share a Lime scooter. 2 of which were arguing over who was gonna pay. One was wearing a Gucci backpack and the other was wearing a Supreme t-shirt. I was just like, oh, the priorities. 3 kids, 1 Lime. A Supreme shirt? They have horrible judgment. Supreme is ugly. Santa Barbara, you guys are insane. You guys Fiesta? Bastards. You know what Fiesta is? Raise your hand. Who participates? Yep, I knew it. Participate? You bring the crock pot? Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't leave home without it. You probably have an adapter in your car. Yeah. On your... You have a rad bike that you just like plug it in. Aha, got you. This one has 2 batteries. One to keep the chicken warm. I like that. You guys are fun, man. You guys are fun. Somebody asked me today, they're like, are you wearing a towel shirt? I was like, I am. Then she just looked at me and just went, and then walked away. So I still don't know if she likes it or not. And I'm so insecure that I will find out by the end of tonight. I'm insecure, man. I got body image issues. I gotta be honest, I think it's because I'm from Los Angeles. Like, you know, everybody in LA is so in shape. And I'm not saying I'm out of shape, I just feel like I have like a teen dad bod, you know what I'm saying? Like my upper body says I have like a lot of things to do and I don't have time to take care of myself, but my lower body says that I longboard to math class. I got a great right ass cheek is what I'm trying to tell you people. I'm not as in shape as you guys, but I like it. When I moved here, COVID was running rampant and everybody was like, you gotta wear a mask. I was walking down State Street and this dude was on this bike doing like 90. He was, you know, one of those electric bikes, doing 90. He was like, you should wear a mask. I was like, you should wear a helmet, motherfucker. Like, damn, who are you to tell me what to do? Then I got COVID, so I was like, damn, he should have been right. I was dating this girl who couldn't cook at the time and she kept bringing me meals. Of course I didn't lose my taste buds. Had to eat every single one of those meals. Awful. Anybody else here get COVID? Yeah? Remember at the time you didn't even want to raise your hand? Now you're like, yep, got it, did it. Did you do anything fun when you got it twice? Congratulations, double. You got the second time you just want somebody to cough on you to get out of work, huh? You got it in Mexico? On the way, oh man. Wait, how do you know? You knew that on the airplane? Oh, always blaming the Mexicans. Oh, okay, blame the airplane. I'm just kidding. I gotta loosen you guys up, man. This is real. Was that too much? I'm so sorry. That was too much. I apologize. No, man. I do love it, man. I love Santa Barbara. I really do. Like you guys, there's such a warm feeling in Santa Barbara. In Santa Barbara. Like I said, I'm from Los Angeles. Like, place where people hate everything except the movies. And here, everybody's warm and beautiful. And I just think that's great. I mean, you're really accepting, except during Fiesta when you assault people. That's what it is. You just walk up to people and assault them. That's all it is. But it's good. It's good that we're all here together. And I hope that people in the back, you know there's still chairs. Do you stand everywhere you go? But if you have a reservation at a restaurant, ma'am, you look like if you're not sat on time, you're telling somebody. Okay. No, not you. She clutched her pearls. Me, no. This is cool. You doing okay, sir? Yes, it's okay. You in the black sweater, sir? Are you doing okay? Yeah, okay. Just checking in. Look like my manager. No. Man, I love this. This is a beautiful day, isn't it? What do you do on a day like today? You go hiking. You would. You guys love to hike. First date I went on here, the girl said, we're going hiking. I was like, oh yeah, I could walk up something. That's what I thought hiking was. I'm from LA. We're gonna walk up, we're gonna take some photos, we're gonna walk down. It's easy, right? I knew I was in trouble when I got there. She took a shot of goo. Do you know what goo is? It's like, she was like, here we go. I was like, wait. I'm wearing Nikes. Hold on. She had hiking boots that zipped and had like a strap. I was like, oh God, I'm not gonna make it back. She actually started running. This is the first date. She stretched. Do you understand? She stretched and then ran and was like, I'll meet you up there. I was like, this is the worst first date I've ever been on. On the way down, we walked. This is a true story, we walked. And I'll tell you guys, the weirdest thing, I'm telling you, the whole thing with you guys not wearing shoes is so strange to me. And two things that she told me way too early on this date was one, that she had a foot fetish. And two, that she lived in her van. Which I'm not here to judge, but like, foot fetish? You ran? I don't know, which is weird. Why? You don't need to tell me that. But you know, she was nice and she lived in her van. I'm not here to judge. So we went out to drinks and I thought the weirdest part is when we both Ubered back to her van, I was like, this feels weird to me. She was like, I don't want to lose my parking spot. There's a Tesla parked behind me and it gets mad, it leaves notes, so. No, this is, I love it. What'd you say? We dated for like 5 dates. And then the foot fetish thing, I'm not gonna lie to you, got a little weird for me. Yeah. And I'm not a foot, like, I played soccer for a long time. You know what I mean? Like, I'm pretty up here. You understand? Yeah. I don't even know why when she was sprinting up that hill. This is horrible. Thank you guys for making your way down. Come on and fill in these seats. We got a great presentation. Jacob, why are they milling in the back? It makes me nervous. I got you. Excellent. So we're going to get this thing started, and I really appreciate you, and please, everybody, just give us your best attention and just the love that you have. Keep it going. I'm going to introduce a businessman in the cannabis space. He's a disruptor. He's a advisor for District 216, and he's just a great friend. Please make some noise for Christian Gray, everybody. Christian Gray.
I'm going to be quiet now. You can be quiet as well. Just tune in. Drop in.
He's not going to like it.
Thank you, everybody. So you have been being seated by Ariel and by Troy. And I just want to thank you all for being here tonight and making space to hear about other people's culture and lineage. It's an important part of the conversation of plant medicine and psychedelics, one that does not get as much attention as we would like it to. So it's being highlighted here. So thank you, Jacob, for hosting this conversation. My name is Christian Gray. I'm a partner in Atlas Consulting. I was part of the team that brought Remind, the Psychedelics Business Forum, to Las Vegas last fall. I also host some different events around Southern California, including advising Jacob on Districts 216, which is really special. And you guys get to take advantage of that and participate in it, so I'm glad that you're here tonight. The rest of the content will have 3 speakers. We'll have folks come up individually, and then as long as we can keep our time tight, they'll assemble into a panel, and then we'll do a proper Q&A with you folks. Getting ready for this tonight, I thought a little bit about growing up in Northern California. I'm a Gen Xer, so grew up in the 70s. How many people here are born before 1970? Raise your hands. Probably about split the crowd. Okay, put your hands down. Put your hands up if you're born after 1970. Woo, okay, I guess I'm trending towards the older side. Great. So, growing up in the 70s, I got to watch reruns of The Lone Ranger. The Lone Ranger Returns. Hogan's Heroes was a great show. And then H.R. Puffin stuff, you might guess which one of those programs led me to my psychedelic experiences. If you don't know what H.R. Puffin stuff is, you should absolutely look it up. It wasn't until I got to college and I had a class on American Ethnic Studies by Professor Jerry Padilla. We used to call him Padilla, and he really loved that we did that all the time. And, getting to read Blackout Speaks and being from kind of a white working class family in the East Bay, no real concept of what we did as a country. Cultural and physical genocide and boarding schools and the Bureau of Indian Affairs. And fast forward to the Native American Church and their use of a sacrament called peyote. There's so many different issues to talk about tonight. And I'm just really pleased and honored to have Ariel Clark. She's a premier attorney in the cannabis space. She's making strides with the Psychedelic Bar Association. And we're going to have Ariel come up and speak for a few minutes. And then we'll have the rest of the team. We should probably run the next video really quick. So benefit honoring, and what's it mean to honor the legacy of the indigenous peoples that have been using these plant medicines for hundreds, if not thousands of years, is part of the conversation. And we'd love you to hear from Mike, and then we'll bring up Ariel.
I first made contact with SIA when I was researching the history of peyote for my book, Mescaline, and they invited me to visit them, and I was immediately struck by the incredible generosity that they showed towards their history and their culture and with their hospitality. And I quickly realised that this was a central part of the way that they lived their culture. As Troy often says, give your best, don't give your second best, don't give something that you can spare. If you give your best, then the best will come back to you. And I think that's one of the principles behind benefit honouring. This is not charity, it's not about giving a bit of surplus, it's a much deeper reciprocity than that. It's a kind of reciprocity that lifts everybody up and makes everybody stronger.
Ariel, you want to come on up? Everybody give a hand to Ariel Clark, please.
Wow, thank you so much, Christian. Oh, it's so good to be here tonight with you in psychedelic community. Here we are together at District216. So beautiful. And I'm so grateful to be here with my friends and colleagues that I love and admire and respect so much to talk tonight about benefit honoring, which to me is foundationally about relationship. Relationships, really acknowledging relationships, building relationships, and nourishing relationships. So I'll speak to that in a little more detail. So to my work that I do, to coming here and speaking with you tonight, I bring a unique salad bowl of professional expertise and lineages. I've been an attorney for 17 years and also have been involved in many policy reform efforts, especially around indigenous people, plants, and drug policy reform. I'm also a co-founder of a women-owned and run law firm, and we work with cannabis and psychedelics organizations that are interested in building value-based, really corporate structures, and I could go on about how we can make the world more beautiful in all of the ways. But anyway, tonight I'm going to talk about benefit honoring, and before I get more into that, I'll also bring in my personal lineage. I'm mixed. Through my mother, I'm mostly French American. Through my father, I'm Odawa Anishinaabe from the Grand Traverse Band. We're a tribe in the Great Lakes, which is where I'm from. And like so many people on the planet, I was born to traumatized parents in a traumatized nation with layers of trauma to work through, which for me looked like horrible nightmares, horrible chronic pain. I couldn't walk pretty much for 5 years. Depression, anxiety, alcohol, and drug use disorder. And it was keystone medicines and indigenous people and prayers that literally saved my life and healed my legs. Look, I'm walking. And it's really my relationship with those medicine and prayers. Thank you. Yeah, it is a tremendous miracle and gift. And it's really the healing power of these medicines. Here we are tonight at District216 around psychedelics. And I'll say as someone, I'm an attorney and I'm involved in this movement deeply on a lot of levels. And it's really the healing power of keystone medicines. What am I talking about there? I'm talking about ayahuasca, iboga, mushrooms, toad, peyote. It's the healing power of these medicine and the indigenous people, the lineages, the land, the cultural practices, the prayers that are the foundation for what we are experiencing in the West with the current psychedelic resurgence. Really, it's the foundation for the culture change and law reform that we're experiencing. So that's part of the acknowledging relationship. And relationship obviously is the theme for what I'm talking about tonight. My relationship to these medicines, why we're here tonight, this relationship to these medicines and peoples and lands. And so, talking about relationship and benefit honoring, so for someone like me, who has been healed by these medicines and ways. And for businesses and investors who receive financial benefit from culture change and law reform, benefit honoring is a way to be in good relationship, in a more healed relationship with these medicines, with these people, with these plants, with these ways. It's a way to step out, if we can, a little bit from a colonialist, extractivist, endlessly hungry ghost, one-sided taking culture way of being that we know so well and that is not serving any of us. And it's a way to be in a more healed relationship, to explore what does it mean to be in right relationship. It's a process, it's a path. And that's really better than a psychedelic renaissance, because that is a psychedelic revolution, truly. And it turns out that this idea of benefit honoring, because that's probably new to some of you here tonight, this is actually not really a new concept in international Western legal jurisprudence. Yeah, I'm going there because I'm a lawyer and that's what we do too. It's a little different, but there's a similar concept. And it's not actually new to the international business community, okay? There are decades-old international laws and country-level laws on most of the planet that prescribe what happens when a person who wants to use a plant or an animal for academic research or for product development or for commercial purposes, when they use that plant or animal, an asking process, a consent-based process. There's a whole international legal framework. There are contracts that are called access and benefit sharing agreements. I'm working on one of them right now, related to Gabon and Iboga. And so we have decades-long international laws that are founded within the West around benefit sharing, okay? So the Convention on Biological Diversity, probably most of you, maybe, hopefully you've heard of this. It was a treaty that was signed over 30 years ago by most countries on the planet. And it was about sustainability and conservation of genetic resources and about access and benefit sharing when those genetic resources are being utilized. Genetic resources are plants and animals, like the plants and animals we're talking about with these keystone medicines, okay? And later, there's something that was called the Nagoya Protocol that creates a robust regulatory framework around access and benefit sharing. And I won't nerd out too much over all this, but the point that I'm trying to make here, everybody, is that those are just two of many examples of laws around the globe. And it's not just laws, it's ethics, ethical practices. I mean, I've spoken with international actors over the last number of years around how or researchers, how they approach the taking and the use of plants that are held in lineages. Anyway, we have something to learn because in the United States, we, like in many cases, are behind the rest of the international community. The United States didn't sign the Convention on Biological Diversity or the Nagoya Protocol. However, the US did sign the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, which have very similar sections in that body of law that require asking, going to a people, a community, a local community, indigenous people, and asking for the ability to access their cultural knowledge and plants, and to go through a process of basically negotiating in a horizontal way as much as you can to create equality in the discussion. And then if everybody agrees, you enter into an agreement that, yeah, you can utilize these resources, and then sharing in those benefits, non-monetary and monetary benefits. And again, companies have experience with this. Cosmetic companies, agricultural companies, food companies, this is happening around the globe. So the point is, this is not new, and we have something to learn in the psychedelics ecosystem, in the psychedelics economy. Okay, I'm going to close with this. So, this is a call to action inquiry practice, okay? So, everybody here, each of you, human beings, and I'm so grateful to be here with, I will invite you, if you feel comfortable, to start to have a bit of an inward gaze. So I know we're all here together and you're looking at me, but because I want to invite you into an inquiry practice. So if you feel comfortable, just close your eyes for a moment and start to feel your body, maybe your heartbeat. My heart is beating fast because I'm a little nervous. Maybe your heart, you feel it beating, and you feel your arms and your legs and your breath. And so just feel yourself breathe for a moment. And imagine a medicine that maybe you've worked with or want to work with. Let's say it's mushrooms. What is your relationship with that medicine? What does that look like? How does that feel? And I wonder if we all somehow shifted our language, even just in this small way, from using a medicine or taking a medicine. You think of this medicine, but to honoring the medicine. And maybe even thinking wider, honoring the people and the land and the other plants and trees and sunshine that holds that medicine so dearly so that you can be with that medicine. And so that's my offering. And I'm going to exhale and I'm going to open my eyes. If you would like to open your eyes, maybe you already have. Yeah. Okay, well, that was all I was going to say tonight for now.
Thank you so much, Ariel. Amazing. So I'm going to invite you not to close your eyes. Pull out your device. You all have one, or most of you do. And since I'm dyslexic, I'm going to cheat. Nagoya Protocol on Access and Benefit Sharing, Nagoya. Just type it in the Googles, save it for later, and you can do a little reading on your own time. It's a great way to get educated on some new things. Lucas Gerler is going to come up and chat with us a little bit about Nagoya protocols and benefit honoring. And come on up, Lucas.
Who the hell is this guy? Yeah. You guys probably don't know me, right? So I wasn't even supposed to speak today. So let me just tell you how I got here real quick, how you all got here, things like that. My name is Lucas Gerler. I'm the COO, board member, advisor, friend of David Heldereth, who is supposed to be here speaking to you guys tonight. David is a really good buddy of mine that he was the one that together with a bunch of people fought the DEA last year when they were trying to schedule some things, Schedule 1, that already were covered under other things being Scheduled 1. And so anytime things get Scheduled 1, like cannabis, for instance, it makes it really hard to have any medicinal value. It takes it really hard to drop that back. So I am here because he unfortunately couldn't make it here. That being said, I have my own story, so I'm going to tell that from my story and my perspective. And David and I have been friends for a very long time, so he's also part of this story as well. So myself, I started my, let's say, journey after being hit by a drunk driver. That drunk driver hit me going 75 miles an hour when I was 21 years old, 2 weeks after I turned 21, a year after I had my first child. My other child is running around here because, again, I wasn't supposed to be speaking. I was down in Huntington Beach, but before I was in Huntington Beach, I was in Las Vegas and then Orlando and then Miami or Delray before that. I was in Homestead where I threw an event with Imagi Tribe. There they did some certain ceremonies. They actually talked about the eagle and the condor, and it was Emile Condor and Camille Condor and another girl whose last name is Aguilar. And they did all sorts of different ceremonies and things like that. Before that, I was in Puerto Rico. I literally have my hands in just about everything, and so I'm not going to go into all the different titles and businesses and things like that I have my hands in, but typically I'm behind the scenes putting things together. I'm not in front of people on a stage, but I have been on a stage. I spoke at the Psychedelic conference in DC, and then I actually sat inside of a teepee under the DC monument with Nathan. That was a very wonderful experience and not something that I ever dreamed that I would do. Panacea Plant Sciences, panacea means the cure-all. And so the idea is that all plants, anything that you put in your body, ethnogens or otherwise, are sustenance, right? We criminalized sustenances and made it things, specific things drugs and other things not drugs, and there's an issue with that. And so Panacea seeks to rectify that issue by the right way, going to market and intellectual property out from our company to the market, so that we're not necessarily bringing things directly to the market, but we're coming up with patents, and you can't patent a molecule, but you can patent delivery systems. So we partner with companies, universities, research groups like UMass that has a delivery system. The same way that you have Tylenol extended release, you could have psilocybin extended release. You can have non-psychoactive, you can have psychoactive versions of things. We have friends that have DMT patches that they're working on that are non-psychoactive DMT patches. There's people that need different things than you may need, and there's a different experience and perspective than yours. So when you think of, let's say, criminalizing something, don't think of yourself, but think of maybe a different version of yourself that might need something at some different point. And CBD is a great example. Everybody was like, oh, great, CBD is going to cure me. Well, not in the amounts that most people take it. But if you combine it with the right things and you take it in the right regimen and you otherwise follow discipline and otherwise health in your life and other sustenance, then it can actually probably heal you or help you or keep you from getting further into your cancer or whatever it is that you're fighting that CBD, THC, or some other drug is doing. So for me, benefit honoring and why I'm on the stage, I guess, today, is that Panacea gives 34% of our equity into perpetuity to Indigenous or 503(c)(b) environmental nonprofits. Thank you. Thank you. That said, that's really hard to go to market with, right? I don't know if anybody has money in the crowd who's tried to raise money or vested in companies, but it's really hard to invest in a company where 34% of it is already out the door, right? And so we have to then reimagine what it means to do business in this space and what it means to truly partner with indigenous nations, tribes, and cultures around the world, and what it means to benefit honor and truly create a symbiotic business relationship. And so what that's evolved to over the course of the last few years has been a lot of great relationships, but not a ton of money coming in. There was maybe last year $330 million invested into the psychedelic space. Just to give you an idea, to bring a drug to market, it's about $100 million, and that would be like psilocybin 1.4-30 that one company would be able to bring to market, right? And so in terms of the battle, we are losing. There's people that have a lot of other money that are winning, and the only way that we can truly win is if we all come together, if we all fight together, and that means cannabis, it means everything else as well, and that we truly make it where when you see through it, there's an authentic reason that something is set up that way. So it maybe means bringing production, manufacturing to people in specific lands, giving them first rights for specific things or protection for certain things, right? It means not just lip service, but it means very specific, very actionable, very policy-backed, insured, because if you create something that goes into the market and it doesn't work, this is, I guess what I'm saying, this is a system that you have to work with or replace. And so right now we're at the point that we have to work with it, and so working with the system means that you have to work with all sides. You can't be left, you can't be right, you can't be in the middle, you can't not be in it. And you have to work with all nations and all tribes. I have a background in global studies. I never thought I would use it, but apparently it comes in handy sometimes, right? I myself, that accident, I've been struck by lightning twice. I've been in 5 other accidents. I died for 15 minutes one time. So I have found psychedelics for me to help me be exactly who I am today and to focus and do all the things that I need to do to live in this world. Yeah, it's fun stuff, right? So for me, I probably think that my time's about up, but I'm definitely looking forward to sharing the stage with these two. The last thing that I'll leave you with is that Remind saw me speak down at one conference, and then I suggested that they bring these people into the other conference where David spoke as well. And so technically we're all here because of me. I just wanted to put that out there, but none of y'all know me. So you will know me now. You can look up The Lucas, so Thee Lucas is me on every social everywhere, and then Panacea Plant Sciences is Panacea Plant Sciences. So mic drop.
Hi, I am Julia Mandy, and along with friends and peers, we are starting a public conversation series about psychedelic systems change. Psychedelic refers to the experience of an altered state of consciousness, but also in this case, a metaphor to recognize that the universe is animate, alive, and actively dancing alongside us as we live day to day. Systems change involves a reconfiguring and repatterning, a transformation of practices and processes that structure and influence our functioning world. Psychedelic systems change will be a multi-platform public conversation through broadcasts, articles, and live conversations with change makers, activists, and social entrepreneurs who are addressing social and environmental issues in innovative ways. This is also a space where we're thinking about the ways consciousness and spirituality can affect positive change in the world. We are participating in benefit honoring as a thank you to Indigenous caretakers who have and continue to steward knowledge of our socioplanetary systems and keep our biocultural diversity alive. A form of benefit honoring has existed in many traditions, including Judaism, in the form of tzedakah. Tzedakah is a demonstration of generosity and a commitment to our wider community through the form of sharing and giving. There's also a concept in Judaism known as tikkun olam, which is the practice of repairing our world, and this includes a mystical and spiritual healing as well. As I explore my Judaism and my history, and as we explore the fields of psychedelic systems change, we do so in solidarity with Indigenous wisdom keepers. And I rely on the community accountability that exists in my relationship with SIA and the Indigenous Medicine Conservation Fund. And that is why we're giving 22% of proceeds from the Psychedelic Systems Change programming to benefit honoring.
All right, Troy, you should go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about Julia. Go ahead, come on up.
Marowe. When I was a young man, I was injured in the military, and I was in a helicopter wreck, and fractured 29 fractures in my spine. And they said, well, all we can do for you is give you drugs and surgery. I was like, wow, those are really terrible choices. And so it put me on this path. So I started traveling to South America, started doing ceremonies in South America with old indigenous people, started learning about, regenerative, organic, and was like, wow, I lived my whole life and nobody told me about these things. All these people that I loved all my life, my mom, my dad, my grandparents, and didn't give me the whole thing. And I didn't understand that they didn't know. And so all at once, one day, I was hitchhiking back from Santa Marta, Colombia, and I turned right at Denver, and I got picked up by a Comanche medicine man with a baby eagle sitting in the seat. I sat down and looked over, and this thing was looking me dead in the eye, and I was like, what is going on here? He goes, I'm kind of falling asleep. You want to help me out? And you want to go to an eagle's nest? I'm like, okay. And so now it's 44 years later. And I've lived with the Comanches all my life. And I was brought in by the oldest Comanche lady. She was lived to be 109. And after a couple years living with them, which is, it's kind of like being a slave, they took me in as a captive, which the incident had happened. We were in Wyoming doing field work in the sacred places, And back then we didn't have any cell phones or anything like that, so nobody knew where we were and when we would be home. And we had an incident happen where climbing up a tree, and 2 baby eagles were in the nest, and they looked old enough to go up and band. And all at once they stood up, and they weren't old enough, and they jumped into a raging river at flood stage. And so I dove out of the tree and went underwater, and the medicine person is running along the river trying to balance the time with us. I was like, where are you coming up at? And I found one of the eagles, and the big feet came up, and I handed him the eagle. And then I went back under and come way down the river and found the other eagle. I found it in the dark and grabbed it. We took the eagles, put them back up in the nest. They were drenched, and so they weren't going to try to fly again. And we came back about 3 months later, and the parents were teaching them to hunt. So it all went well. But nobody knew that this happened. So we drove home, and we get to the place, and the kids come out and go, Troy. They said, well, they didn't say Troy. They said, you need to go in the backyard. Grandma's waiting. Nobody even knew we were coming. And so we start to leave, and they go, no, not you, Troy. Okay. So they took me in the back, and she started the ceremony to take me as a captive. To be a captive, only a person that had lived in freedom, nomadic freedom, has the right to do that. She was the last one left alive that had been born free. And so she took me as a captive, and then for my whole life, I've been trained in the old ways. All that family were all roadmen and priests, and they ran all the pieces for the cultural side of the Comanches. So since I've been a teenager, that's been shared with me. And when I was, after 37 years, they called us into a room, me and the person who picked me up, and they said, well, we're going to make a change in who you guys are right now. And we're like, what? And they said, we're going to make you priests in the culture. And then we're going to make the place that you created the mother church of the Native American church religion. And so they went through the ceremony and painted our feet, and all the elders were there. And not a thing I ever thought could even happen. And they base who you are on your deeds. And my deeds had reached a place where it was time for that to happen. And so they did that. And so now I'm Queenai Puakat, which Queenai is the name for golden eagle. Puha is the name of the energy that you work with healing, and Kat is man. So that is, for the last 7 years, that's what I've been. When the psychedelic industry started happening, we'd been looking at ways to get better funding. The government doesn't help us, even though we support a lot of their government work. And so we saw that there wasn't a way for companies and people to give to indigenous people to balance with the Nagoya protocols. So we created benefit honoring. I sat with the elders and asked what they wanted and how they wanted it and the numbers that they wanted that were sacred. And so we created the foundation from that. And so it's a way to give access. The elders said to me, you know, the society is taken from us, ruined our families, killed our children, give us diseases, traumatized us for generations. So this is what we want to do. We want to give access. We want to give access to the society that did this to heal. So we're going to create benefit honoring, which is honoring is something that we do every day in everything we do. And so we're going to give them access to this so they can heal. So it was an amazing gesture by the elders when they came up with this. And they said, Troy, you're going to do it. And they said, we're going to stay here and stay clean, and you're going to go out into the world and get dirty. And so when you come back, we'll take care of you and cleanse you and help you in the community, and then we'll send you back out. And so for the last 3.5 years, that's what I've been doing, is bringing this out. The website just went live yesterday. And we've worked with many people. These people here have hearts so open that that's what we all want to be. And we've created a community by spending a lot of time with these different people that really want to do the deep, rich work. And so between us and the Indigenous Medicine Conservation Fund, we service about 800 tribes around the world. And all the tribes that take care of the medicines, the ayahuasca, the psilocybin, the peyote, the toad. So they take care of this. This is their sacrament. This is how they live. And one of the main things that we do at SIA is we're the largest breeder of eagles in the world. So I've got 140 eagles at the place. Half the world's eagle species, 24 species out of the 48 that are out there. And so when we pray Comanche way, we pray through the eagles. So we can feel in our ceremonial prayers when eagles are having a hard time in a country. So then we'll go and check with that country and see what's actually going on, and we'll help them out. So right now we're breeding the national symbol for the government of Spain, got down to 200 eagles, critically endangered. And in 5 years, we've more than doubled the populations by changing a pesticide law, by getting the electric companies to work with us and putting fake electric towers in our aviaries. So when all the birds that get hurt in the country of Spain get hurt and go through rehab, when they're ready to be released, they come to our place. And when they land on this, it shocks them. So it teaches not to land on that in the wild. And then we also do artificial breeding, artificial insemination. So with my eagles, I can only get 2 eagles a year from them if I do it naturally. But if I do it artificially, I can get 16 babies from each pair. So the golden eagle in the Smoky Mountains was extinct for over 100 years. We released over 200 babies there, and now it's fully back in the Smoky Mountains. So when the bald eagle got to less than 1,000, they came to us after we did the golden eagles, and they said, can you do this for us with the bald? And so we did the first bald through artificial insemination in the history of the world. And then we released another 200 and some in 11 states in central United States. And now we have more bald eagles than we ever had in history. So when you take the thing that you pray through and you breed it throughout an ecosystem, it puts the top predator back in the ecosystem and change how the system works and puts it in balance. And so that's what we do around the world. And my breeding, the breeding of eagles that we do at SIA, SIA is the Comanche word for feather. When you do that, I have my first filter, which is Comanche, second filter, which is science, and the third filter is whatever tribe the eagle is around. So we go to those tribes in Africa, South America, wherever they're from, and we sit down with them and we listen to their songs and their stories. They take us to their sacred places, and we use their knowledge. I mean, they have songs in Africa about eagles, everything they do that are 10 and 12,000 years old. So by using that ancient knowledge with that holistic cultural aspect of who you are, where you're super thorough, not just trying to get a job and get money and be successful that way, because doing it is your culture, and when you pray, you want to have the full prayers used of everybody in the ceremonial. And so it's an amazing way of getting synchronicity. And when benefit honoring is bringing not only private people, but business into synchronicity. So we can work together with this, with the benefits from the corporations and the knowledge and the plants that they're taking by giving back. That stuff is spread. Like right now, we're finishing buying a big piece of land in 2 places, buying a whole mountain in Colombia right now. The money, $160,000, is on the top of the mountain with the healers being cleansed right now before it's taken down off the mountain and put into a bank account, which they don't ever have. We had to create that for them. And they don't believe in owning land, but to get it back from the mining company, we had to do this. So it's a bunch of ways that we can help them to do this. So this was ceremonial land for thousands of years, and now it's back in their hands. And there's another one going on right now that we have 1 more week till we close on. And it's aerial ground that has to do with Sundance. And so We get the pieces of land, we help them replant the ecosystem in the Amazon and around the world. They're the great stewards of conservation. For us, we do single stewardship and we separate it from everything else. They do holistic stewardship indigenously. So they take care of everything and everything's in balance. And when that happens, there's this richness and this bloom that happens that our society and money doesn't see and can't be a part of. But so if I make a business that gives the words that they can hear and the benefits that the people can use, it creates this bond. And the fund and us, we stay between them. So again, we keep them clean and we work with the groups. And so one of the things that in nonprofits always like to do is they say we're going to give back, but they give back to friends of theirs and things they know so they can control the monies. And that's not giving. You know, so when you truly give, you give without any expectations of return and you let go of control. And our society has a hard time letting go of control. So we just never let them have contact with the other side. They have contact with us. And they can work through all the pieces with us. Sometimes it's a lot of work and a lot of details to try to get to that place. But we have good people like this and a whole bunch more that are on the same path, that are synchronistic. And, you know, they're bringing it. And Peyote's having a really hard time, you know, and there's a combination of things with that: wind power, farming, climate change. And we're working with a lot of those different groups. And I have a lot more to share, but any question you want to ask or anywhere you want to go? I can do that. Okay. Right relationship, there's different forms of indigenous people. But the core of where I live is a traditionist indigenous people. They are the ones that live the way. They don't live as white people in the day and then go home and do this at night. They live this way, and these ceremonies and these thought processes, and they even dream indigenously that way. So it's really encompassing who they are. So what we do, right relationship, say with me with eagles. To do artificial insemination on an eagle and a top predator like that, I have to make a bond with the female eagle where I become the male eagle. And it could take me 2, maybe 3 years to make that bond with it. But when that changes and it takes me on as its mate, then if it sees another eagle of its kind, it will kill it immediately because now it thinks that I'm its kind. And so we go through breeding together. When it's time for that, she calls me in, she calls to me, she sings to me, she calls me in, she gets in the position, I rub her back, she flips her tail, you know, and I inseminate her. And so we raise the babies together. When she wants to get off the nest to go eat or take a bath, she calls me and I go in and take care of the babies and all the things like that. So that's right relationship. It's not right relationship, conscious mind, right relationship. It's an animal that has no ego, that's connected wild, that's a top predator that doesn't have to have a balance with anybody else. Making that choice internally that you are in that place, that you're my mate now. And that type of right relationship changes your life. And it's the same way with males. The males will call me in and I'll be the female eagle there. And they'll call me in and court, and I'll let them get up on my back, and they'll start to where they're going to breathe. I'll put them on my arm, and they'll give semen right into a vial. And then I go and do that with the female. So to be in those relationships every day, all the time, where they never shut off, they're super conscious and they see everything. So they can see a field mouse from 10,000 feet. They can see an ant the length of a football field. They have the strength of 10 men's 2 hands in 1 foot, and then 4-inch sharp talons that can go through my arm just like that, just because they think it. Even though I have a glove on her, they can go right through the glove and right through that. So the bond that you have to create right relationship is a thing that we all used to live in. The whole earth used to be in that place until we decided that money was real, you know? And so when we decided that was real, we displaced the real God with that. And so, but there still are a huge amount of people on the earth that live the way. And so I want to share some of those things with you, and communicating this with you, which is like behind the curtain, you know, Mr. Wizard kind of a thing, where things that you don't really hear about, because traditional people are humble and quiet. They're not shouting and out of balance. They're super in balance, and when that's going on, they almost disappear from your view. And so imagine whole tribes of people living that way, instead of trying to be the loudest person in the room, or the most on social media, or the most money in their pocket, or things like that. They don't even have those things, like, at all. And so they make their own clothes. They're not trying to look better than somebody else. They weave their own things, you know, they make their own moccasins, you know. Everything for them is this journey of honoring. And so one of the things I think that we really need is learn how to honor better. Honor your mates, honor your parents, honor your relatives, honor the earth, honor the animals. We need to listen better, and we need to be still and be quiet and let them have their say, because they're screaming right now. They're having a really hard time. I travel the world. I've lived in 55 countries and been in many, many middle of nowhere places that only indigenous priests get to go. And even those, with climate change, is being powerfully attacked right now, with no human people being there. That's really kind of scary. Yeah, so we're gonna have the panel now, and sure appreciate y'all.
Okay, this is where you guys get to get involved. It's interactive. I can prompt a few questions. Keep the mics up high, that helps too. Higher's better. And we're gonna do Q&A with you guys. So there's plenty of tasty bites waiting for us. There's music, and we're gonna wrap it up. But Chris is gonna help us with the Q&A. And we really want to make this a dialogue, right? You've heard lots of wisdom and information being shared tonight. We'd just love a few questions from you, and we'll get rolling with that. So just raise your hand if you like, if you have a question or something you want to ask Troy or Ariel or Lucas. And maybe while we're getting started, yep.
You were speaking about the difficulties going on with peyote. Would you mind expanding on that a bit?
Get that mic up.
There really isn't. The United States government's tried not to deal with it too much, and that aspect has let it fall behind because it has a cultural sacrament kind of aspect, so they've been a little bit hands off. But because of that, when you put wind power in, they destroy big peyote beds by making the roads in, and there's nothing, there should be things in place where they get to go and dig that up before that and take them to different places and save them. There's the same way with peyoteros that was created through the Texas government. There used to be, when you went out to pick peyote for us is a bean, and it would make itself invisible and you couldn't see it. It could be a whole field of peyote and you couldn't see it. But then we would sing these certain songs honoring it, and then all at once it let the fences down and it would show up everywhere. So when this is going on that way, there's a really, really good balance. But when the peyoteros, they put a person between the government, Texas government, and the peyote people. And you should never do that second person. Prayer is a first person thing. And so when they took that power away and that control away, they gave it to people that didn't have the energetics to work with it. They were just getting all the peyote they could. And so they're going illegally onto ranches and taking it, 80,000 at a time. And so then the people that didn't grow up with peyote, that didn't live on that land, the Native American church is the only intertribal religion in the United States. And so how that happened was Quanah Parker, our chief, was working with Teddy Roosevelt a lot, and they wanted to outlaw ghost dance and Native American church. And so he said, well, ghost dance is done outside. They get speaking in tongues. It scares white people. So they made that illegal. Peyote ceremonies are done in teepees, and they're hidden. And so they kept that legal. Well, when they did that, it made it where there was a little bit of trust from the government, and they kind of let their guard down, and they let farmers do what they want. They let wind energy do what they want. And then because they weren't paying attention, it got endangered. It's a small area. So one of the things that's trying to be done is like the river in New Zealand, where they made it, give it personhood. They're trying to give the whole peyote population personhood. And so it has rights to sue people that do things to it.
And that convention in the legal precedent, and this would be in Ariel's world, is corporations have personhood as well, right?
Yeah, let me tell you guys about this really quickly. Because I'm so excited about this. It's called Rights of Nature. So if you haven't heard about it, it's way cool. It's been around now for a few decades internationally, where basically, you know how we have human rights and personhood status. And in this country, certain populations were not allowed to vote or seen as citizens or full persons for too long and really fucked up reasons, excuse my language. And what we did in this country is we gave corporations person status. Isn't that wild? Well, great news, healing. This is where I love like seeing ways that the law and we can heal systems, or at least introduce this as a prayer going forward for that more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. So this rights of nature basically gives nature, like rivers, ecosystems, personhood status, like a human rights status. And rivers have been protected. And there have been cities in this country that have passed that. The country of Ecuador has rights of nature in their constitution. And it's growing and growing and growing. And I think, I think it took maybe in the US 100 years for women to get the right to vote. And so, we've had like rights of nature movement happening for about 20 or 30 years. So big prayers that it doesn't take 70 more years to have rights of nature, but okay, thanks.
Some more questions. Chris is still out there. Look for the towel shirt. Oh, there he is, towel shirt.
The long and short is that for any drug, when you expand access to it, you infringe on whoever had access. And so that's the short answer. And then corporations, I also sue corporations, bad businesses, stuff like that, with a bunch of lawyers all the time. You can always hold them accountable, right? And then the same way you can be the steward of the land or put something into, I think you're probably the expert on this, but you can put it like into you can have something in the environment that you put forth as something that should be protected. There's not everything that should be protected already is on that path. And then lastly, I will say that I think specifically when we legalize things in certain places, spaces, states, it's on a state-by-state basis, and that still is a huge issue as well.
I see Chris wandering around. Are any hands out there for additional questions? Yep, go ahead.
Check, we're still good.
Troy, there is a project in Colombia to invest in some land. I was wondering what the other country was that you guys are working on.
That's right here in Oklahoma right now.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's right here in Oklahoma right now. And that's right at the end of closing. Maybe in the next 2 weeks that'll close. But I had a sad thing just happen a couple days ago. Another piece that I was trying to get, just somebody else bought it out from under us. So I was working on 8 properties this year. We got 4 of them under our belt. The last one is getting ready to close, and like I said, next 2 weeks. But the other 4, other people had money before I did. It's really hard to get big chunks of money from corporations for things that they can't control. And but you do the best you can. You're amazed at what you do. And then you just, be thankful. People are trying to give back. But it's kind of it's like you start doing push-ups today, you can do 2, but In a month, you can do 50. So the corporations are learning how to do this, and they're asking lots of questions that don't make any difference. But finally, they'll hit on things that are the right things. And they're trying to change. They're wanting to do good things. And a lot of these businesses, just like, Julia there from North Star, 22% is a lot. But she said once she gets more in, she wants to do 44%. So it sounds big to me, but they're taking it on. I mean, there's a pharmaceutical company that's not only going to give back 10%, they could be a $2 billion company. There could be $200 million coming from them for indigenous conservation, but also we got them to put an indigenous board in for the trust. So 3 out of the 5 people are indigenous. So that's never been done before.
Troy, you said the website went live yesterday, just for folks who want more.
benefithonoring.com.
Benefithonoring.com.
And sorry, the PayPal is not working on it yet because PayPal stopped it because they said that we were selling illegal substances.
We'll fix that. We have lots of attorneys.
Yeah,
so guy for that.
So soon, maybe in the next few days, they've been on it about a week now, and so we'll see.
Chris?
We have one. We have one right over here. Oh, my voice, yeah.
So what's the most, hello? What's the most challenging or nuanced aspect of eagle courtship that took you a while after? I don't know why it's, did you hear?
Yeah, I heard you. To begin with, the challenging part is the fear, because they are so powerful and can hurt you so quickly, and it happens so fast. But after you've been in it for a long time, it's being accepting that this creature honors you in such a way and takes you in as same, with no separation, that a lot of times we just don't have enough self-worth to take that in. We haven't been supported enough in our life and the way society works. We're more on the scarcity side instead of the abundance side. And so that scarcity part makes it really hard to get past in a certain way, because they can feel scarcity and they kind of attack it. But when they feel the abundance, they kind of nuzzle up to it. It's kind of a weird thing because they're very abundant and very conscious. And an old way is, Grandma said that one of the things she said to us is that we separate everything all the time and make it less than. And so she said, what you really need to do is everything is the same. So she says, when you look at something and you say, oh, this is this and that is that, she said that weakens it. So in your mind, you need to think same, and see the commonality in it, and validate the strength that's really there instead of invalidating it by separating it.
That's really beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll probably take one more question from the back. You got one? Left, right, center?
I got one.
Go ahead.
Check. What is it? I'll yell it. Wait, yeah.
Thank you. With benefit honoring, I'm just wondering if maybe you could elaborate on some of the more specific, actionable ways that reciprocity is kind of enacted to honor the background and the indigenous nature of these plant medicines.
Okay, well, the first thing is when the money comes in, it goes directly into the fund and has a conservation board that's from indigenous people all over the world. And it's only touched by them. It's indigenously led and ceremonial decision making. And so it's as clean as anything I've ever been a part of that mixes a lot of groups of tribal people together. And so the one piece that's interesting for the businesses is that I give them, through benefit honoring, they get specific ways. Say it's ketamine and MDMA, then you give 4%. If it's the botanical, ayahuasca, ibogaine, toad, those pieces, then it's a bare minimum 8%. If your company goes above $1 billion, then it switches to a 10 to 20%, whichever you choose, which in America it's trusts, and which is an indigenously led board, And in Europe, it's foundations, which is an indigenously led board that we have not gotten in yet. We've got the foundation to give 20% of a company in Switzerland, but we've not got an indigenous-led board in a foundation in Europe yet. And so then there's a 32%, a 44%, and so makes it for the very first time that indigenous people can track what someone says they're going to give and then what they get. Usually you just get the scraps left on the table. And so they say, oh, that's just all we have, because they spend what they want first and then they give the least. And that's exactly the opposite of how grandmother taught us. Give your best, give till it hurts. And that's where differences are made. And this gives access to personal people to tithe to 4, 8, 10% if you want to do more. 10% is usually the normal piece. And then the business is, like I said, all the way to 44%. So this makes a specific way to do it and a specific way to track it for them, so they can be aware of what they're doing with building or land buybacks, or what they're doing with the plants, and sending people out to check and see how they're doing in the wilderness, so they know what they need to do later. And it's all led by indigenous people, all the people that were chosen by their tribes. It's not they're leading a business or they're doing this, or it's the people go into ceremony, they go in with an intention, they make a decision when they come out. That decision is passed on to the next piece. A person is picked that can follow through with that decision, and that person is put on the board through the indigenous-led aspect. So it's really powerful.
Thank you so much for that question. I think we're going to wrap up the panel. Troy, did you want to close the container?
Yeah.
You did the cedering earlier, and you want to give instructions to some of the folks about what's happening?
Well, we're going to do two things.
This is the interactive part of the evening.
Yeah, when you meet an indigenous person, of course, as a person, you just shake their hand. But
you're going to need the mic.
White people. People that aren't of the indigenous realm don't know how to do that correctly. And so if you do that incorrectly, the indigenous people know that you don't know them, that you don't honor them, and then they're going to not share with you. So I'm going to share a little piece of that, which is very simple. And stand up, hon. And so you look them in the eye, and it's one shake. That's it. And then you go to the next person. So when you finish, everybody here, I'm going to do something, and then when you finish, everybody go around, shake each other's hand one time, look them in the eye, so when you leave here, you'll have that skill. When you meet an indigenous person the next time, you'll greet them correctly. It's very important for how the rest of your evening goes with them. So I'm going to close this in an old, ancient, indigenous way, and I'm going to bring my friends, the eagle, with me in a certain way. And I'm going to share this tone with you that you'll be able to carry with you in your lives. It's amazing. You'll hear it in your dreams. You'll see it in your waking hours. It's when you get to that place of honoring, this is something that will come up for you. And so when you leave here, you'll carry this with you from now on. Excuse me. Be quiet for me. Could everybody be still? Thank you.
So look somebody in the eye, shake their hand, make a new friend. And these folks are going to be around. There's lots of wisdom to share. They're going to be stationed in that little room inside. Get some food, and we'll get Chris back up here. I could see where that towel shirt would work with the eagle work.
Oh,
Yeah, that might come in handy.
I learned Troy has game. That's what I learned. Everybody, thank you so much. We have some great food in the back by just great food. We got great music coming up. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck by your towel comment. That was rude, man. But yeah, everybody, thank you so much. Enjoy. I appreciate you. Woo! Did you learn something? Yeah, a little bit. You guys, thank you. Get ready.